What's up, world? What's up, Zion? It's Prince Easy coming at you again once more as usual. I do have a couple slides that I want to share with you in this fine day that we're having. And of course, before we get to the slides, I want to issue a disclaimer, right? A copyright disclaimer for the copyrighted material that's going to be shared in this here video, right? So, without further ado, let's try to catch up and update each other, right? So, this happened. So, as they say, the rebels over there are saying that those were operators being inserted into the country. Yeah. Okay. Cannot catch a break. The sun trying really hard. Like right now, I think all the masks are off. Right? Can we agree on that at least? Especially the Sun and Sky News. Yeah, the ground has been set for what is to be discussed. In NATO, right? The US might not be into the Ukraine war, but the evidence shows the contrary. So there is the China problem, there is the Iranian problem, and it's a NATO meeting. Right? I think you can put two and two together to actually even speculate, right? What these people can actually be concocting in that hollow deal. Yeah, 2026, right? For all of those people who are saying, these things don't exist and whatnot, right? This is your value, this is your culture, and your religion at the same time. Yeah? To me, it's a good thing, because this then will awaken a lot of people to actually see. Turkey is like that because they are hosting the NATO meeting. Yes, this is true. I don't even believe it's an investment gap either. I believe there is something really, really sinister going on in what we call soccer or football, and it has to do everything with enhancements and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Belgium tried, but it didn't go his way. Okay. Well, this is disturbing, but the bigger question still remains is, who did they make it for exactly? Who did they make it for? Yeah, now Poland is being activated and stuff. They call it rotation. Yeah, they're boosting defense spending against Russia threats. Okay? Familiar pictures. Right, 2026 is turning out to be quite a year. Inside Putin's sick chemical weapons testing lab, right? What is this? If this is projection, then what? Are they admitting that Ukraine did indeed have these labs? In my opinion, Russia should clean them up with fire. Absurd. he says. Cannot meet the demands, he says. Yeah, if the streamer university was not alarm enough, then we have this. Yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna come after this. The king is posturing in his armies and stuff. Of course, they have to lay the foundation, right? Talking about we didn't intercept even a single ballistic missile from Russia. We need help, please. These Russians attacks are deadly, right? And we need to talk about this during NATO, okay? Ukraine and Syria, but in reality we know the real target here is the Syrian leader. Talk about making progress. So Chavez said this. A tectonic weapon. Again, for all of those who are, critics of conspiracy theorists, my advice, remain silent until you know more. Okay? Until you know more. But the first paragraph alone is very suspicious to me, because the phrasing entails, or rather intends to discredit the person, right? Claiming that this person is just a crazy person, right? This Venezuelan leader is just a crazy person. This is what we are going for, is it? According to Russians, that at least those amount of Ukrainian drones were reportedly shot down over Russian occupied territories in the 6 months of 2026. And as such, real effectiveness of Ukrainian campaign not only to U.S. intelligence assistance, but also increased production and improved management. So we are going back to the same old ordeal that we had discussion prior to. How do they help the rebels in Mali carry out their attack, right? In the AES. How? The US participated in one way or the other, right? And now the Russians are just pointing it out that they know, right? So apparently they say a Russian source told them that before February 2027 there will be no negotiations. Is that an official stance? Again, they say, or rather quote an anonymous source. Again, Vance added that the Trump administration inclines towards the view that the Ukrainians should focus as much as possible on defense in parallel with negotiations. Vance said this approach has been far more fruitful, as it is easier to defend than attack, allowing Ukrainians to make better use of their tactical advantage. And what would that be? He added that Russia is now in a position where it can achieve, through sustained offensive operation, a negligible and approaching zero, which could create a space needed to bring the situation to a conclusion. Peskov said Russia's so-called special military operation had become a real war, which he attributed to Western military support for Ukraine, according to Russia's Interfax news agency on July 5th. Peskov claimed that Kiev is backed by Berlin, Paris, The Hague, Oslo, and unfortunately Washington. He also claimed that the Western countries help Ukraine identify targets through their satellites and guide foreign supplied weapons to our targets using their entire infrastructure. I see no lie anywhere. Well, Tanzanians, remember this, what they did. Again, the Sun, CNN, right? What was the trigger? Dumped bodies, mass graves, right? And they even gave out satellite images of these supposed sites of mass graves, right? But as you can see, they didn't give you no follow-up there. Well, I think at this point it's when Nigeria was economically assassinated. Yeah. So, from the Ford Foundation, I am pleased to inform, of course, to Maria Sarungi, right? I'm pleased to inform you that the Ford Foundation has approved a grant of 600,000 to the Mwanza org for general support for strengthening the protection mechanism for the alphabet people community and democracy in Tanzania. Right, so their plan, all this money was supposed to be used to promote, rather provide protection for LGBTQ people and democracy. The grant is being made in response to the proposal submitted by Maria Sarungi's April 17, 2025 letter to the foundation in Seattle. Okay? These terms apply to the organization use of foundation's grant. Grant funds are available over a 2 years period beginning 1st September 2025. Payment of a grant fund will be made periodic installments by electronic transfer after receipt by the foundation's representative in Seattle of the enclosed countersigned copy of this letter. Alright? Dear Mr. Sarungi, the headline above refers hereby advised to strictly adhere to the contingency protocol previously agreed upon following the incident that occurred on 29th October 2025, right? That's what has happened in Tanzania. As we continue to make concrete efforts to restore and sustain the confidence of all members, including financiers, it is imperative that you demonstrate the highest level of professionalism and preparedness when engaging with our affiliated international media outlets. Please note that the pending reimbursement of USD 2.3 million will be effected under the same structure previously utilized through Compass Communication Limited. This approach is crucial to rebuilding stakeholders' confidence, which has regrettably been diminishing. Accordingly, you are directed to ensure that each interview participant presents a clear, consistent, and distinct narrative highlighting specific allegations concerning the government of Tanzania. Particular attention must be paid to accuracy, detail, and coherence, as all aspects of the media engagements have been fully coordinated. I wish you every success in the execution of this directive. Okay, so now you know. Now you know. Well, we've been knowing. We've been at least speculating what is what and how everything occurs. And in order to counter this, you have to come with the same energy, right? In your speaking, right? You have to be clear, you have to be consistent, right? And of course, have a agenda, so to speak, that you are attacking, right? The angle of attack, so to speak, right? And of course, you cannot outpay them, right? It's a temptation, right? People think that maybe we could pay these people so as they can stop, or rather buy them out or something, right? Futile, right? So this brother did a documentary. Of course, he's Nigerian. He did a documentary covering what happened on that day, and of course, I linked his video in my description, like a couple videos, what, 2 or 3 back, right? Or even 1, I don't remember, right? And this is what is happening everywhere, right? So Sarungi felt like she should respond to the allegations of her being a paid stooge for the West, right, and their stakeholders and whatnot, right? Yeah, so this is what they're saying now. So what are they talking about? Well, it's pertaining to this account and what it said. When this touch Nyerere soil without being killed, we will be very stupid. I share the hotel he will be staying. Wednesday we have to do something. So this was them threatening this guy before the premiering of that documentary. Well, from even this interview, he said he speaks from his experience, saying he knows exactly what these evolutions look like, right? And of course, he intends to intervene for our sake, right? You see how Africa is connected like that, right? We are supposed to speak for each other, in each other's best interests, not competing, right? Because competition, like they say, takes out joy, right? Comparison takes your joy, right? It breeds all sorts of issues, right? All sorts of issues come from people wanting to compete, right? Jealousy, envy, and whatnot, right? Those being the biggest problem. All we need to do is look out for each other's best interests, right? So, the sunscreen argument is making its rounds. Well, I have a question, right? I haven't spent a lot of time around a lot of white people. Let's say you stop applying these sunscreens, right, as a whole, and you started operating just as normal outside. What would happen to your skin? From what I hear, you'd burn up, right? And all sorts of stuff will start happening to your skin. So then, if this is a conspiracy, right, to give you cancer faster, as they speculate, right? Who is doing it and why? Right? Hitting your reproductive systems and whatnot, right? Because I even hear some melanated people are applying sunscreen, like seriously. Right, so remove the sunscreen. What happens to you? I mean, what other alternatives do you have? So, novelist Jack London, finding it inconceivable that Johnson could hold the title, dubbed boxer Jeffries as the Great White Hope before Johnson's duel with Jeffries. Reports surfaced suggesting that armed individuals in the crowds were prepared to take out Johnson should he emerge victorious. In the 15th round, cinematographers captured the most intense moment of the match. Johnson pummeled Jeffries to the ground several times. One of Johnson's left hook left Jeffries slumped across the bottom rope at the end. Jeffries' group jumped into the ring and ended the match. Although the cameras filmed the fight from a distance, the color difference between the two boxers were apparent, and it displayed black male dominance over white defeat. Right? The early days. The other side, down the line, Johnson's win challenged the racial superiority assumed by many white Americans. Sports writers and white fans called out the Great White Hope, a heavyweight boxer who would reassert white supremacy in the ring. When former champion Jim Jeffries agreed to fight Johnson, he publicly said his intention was to win the title back for the white race. And I'm going to this fight for the sole purpose of proving that a white man is better than a Negro. The need to beat Johnson was made even more urgent because of his personality. He was flamboyant, proud, lived lavishly, drove recklessly, and had affairs with white women. That's a no-no. Right? So when he climbed into the ring in Reno, Johnson could sense the wave of resentment rising from the crowds of 22,000 spectators. Jeffrey even refused to shake his hand before the match. Circling back, other terrorists deployed underage boys in yesterday's attack against Mali security forces. Yes, they are scrapping at the bottom of the barrel. But it doesn't matter. You ask the Ukrainians. When it comes to Europeans and their interests, it does not matter. It does not matter. They will kill everybody until they can't anymore. Right? Arafat Afrique is happy. Right? They are happy that the FLA is making movement and stuff. In second day of the offensive in northern Mali, fighters from the Azov Liberation Front shot down a Russian helicopter alongside their jihadist allies. They are continuing their offensive to seize the Anefis military camp. Well, good luck with that. Well, we shall hear more pertaining to the helicopter. Well, as you can see, brothers and sisters, right, we are dealing with a vicious animal without restraint, without mercy or remorse. And we better figure that out quick for our own sake. And actually relax and actually learn and observe how everything is done and how are we supposed to move in order to be safe ourselves and for the sake of ours and our loved ones, right? So yeah, like I said yesterday, right, I need people to see the writing on the wall. Right? These people will do anything to protect their interests, and we need to provide the same level of energy. That we will do anything to protect ourselves and our loved ones. That needs to be crystal clear. Anyway, I'm gonna put a pin on it right there. Prince Easy signing out. Love you. Bye.